A heartbreak between two loves. My name is Sarah, and I'm 30 years old. I have a 10-year-old son named Jake, and I'm married to John, who is 38. We also have a beautiful 1-year-old baby together. We live in a small town, and our life is pretty simple but happy. I met John 6 years ago, when I was 24 and he was 32. It was through a phone call, and from the moment we started talking, I felt a strong connection to him. After weeks of phone conversations, we finally decided to meet in person. Our first meeting was wonderful, and we immediately started dating. John had never been married before, and I had only been married once before, but that didn't work out. I have a son from my first marriage, but I felt that things would be different with John. John had an interesting past. He once had a long-term girlfriend, with whom he lived for 4 years, but they never married. He was the one who ended the relationship. He also told me about a girl he had loved before he joined the army. They were just teenagers, 16 or 17 years old. He said she was his first love, and he loved her deeply. But when he left for the army, she didn't wait for him, and she ended their relationship. John had never really gotten over it, and his mother once told me that he still thought about her often. I was curious, but I didn't want to dig too deeply. I didn't want to upset him by bringing up his past too often. I wanted to focus on our future. One day, John invited me to his apartment. I was excited to see where he lived. When I arrived, I was shocked. His apartment was old, with no renovations or repairs. The furniture was old and worn, and I couldn't understand why it was in such bad shape. When I asked him why, he just said he had lived with his parents for many years and didn't have time to fix it. Later, I heard from John's mother that he used to spend a lot of time drinking beer with friends in the park. He often brought different women to his apartment, but they only stayed for a night. He never told me about this, and I was surprised when I found out. I also discovered that John still had a card from his first girlfriend, which she had given him when he went to the army. He kept it as a memento. I couldn't help but wonder about this girl. One New Year's Eve, John and I went to the city center to enjoy the holiday lights. While we were there, John saw someone in the crowd. He walked away from me and Jake and stood by himself, watching a woman with her husband. I didn't understand what was happening at first, but then I realized it was his first love. He seemed sad, and I felt a strange feeling in my chest. Why was he watching her so intently? Why didn't he want to talk to me? I started to question whether he still had feelings for her. Later, I asked John if he still thought about her. He got angry and told me I was imagining things, but deep down, I wasn't sure. Sometimes, it felt like he still cared for her more than he cared about me. He even asked her brother about her life, where she worked, and who she was with. This upset me, and I couldn't understand why he was still so involved with her life. His mother also mentioned how much he had loved her and how sad he had been when she left him. Every time she said this, It made me feel like I didn't matter, like I was never as important as his first love. John began to act distant. He stopped talking to me as much and didn't smile like he used to. I started to feel lonely and unimportant. I needed him to focus on our family, but it seemed like he was always thinking about his past. I tried to talk to him again, asking if he still loved her, but he dismissed it, saying I was imagining things. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I loved John, but it felt like I was never going to be the one he truly cared about the most. After much thought, I decided to confront John. I asked him, "Do you want to stay with me, or do you want to go back to her?" He looked surprised and confused, saying, "What do you mean?" "I love you." But I didn't believe him anymore. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel like I was important to him. I realized that I couldn't continue living like this, always feeling second best. I knew it was time to make a change. I couldn't live in the shadow of his first love. I couldn't be with someone who would always love someone else more than me. So, I made the difficult decision to leave him. I told him that I needed to be with someone who truly loved me, someone who cared about me and our family. It was a hard decision, but I knew it was the right one. I couldn't stay in a relationship where I didn't feel valued. I deserved to feel loved and important, and I knew I could find that with someone else. Thank you for reading my story. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories and lessons. Hit the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. Your support means a lot to us. See you next time.